Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's August 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And I'm a little late getting this done tonight. It's probably going to be 9:30 before it gets posted. I didn't get started on it until about 8 o'clock tonight. Probably be late again tomorrow night. Maybe not quite this late. I'm not sure. But I've got some personal things going on early afternoon both days that have precluded me from doing the chart lesson on time. So I'm coming in a little late and doing it, and I'll probably do the same thing tomorrow. So anyway, here's a quick look at the daily chart. You can see we did pull back and test that midline, and we've turned down again. That's 3 tests on that midline. We're kind of stuck between the midline and that the green line on the envelope bands. This would be my first target, and you can see that's right where we opened. It looks like at 5 o'clock, right on that line. So we'll probably trade up and fill that, and we could go lower. We may get a break here finally. We'll just have to see. This market's struggling to reach this target down lower, but it's struggling to go higher at the same time. We've really been below that midline the whole time. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Again, the chart lesson will probably be a little late tomorrow, unless I get done early. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. We'll go through the trades, and not a lot of trades today. There's a few early. It gets kind of quiet in the afternoon. We went into a real tight range, but let's flip over there and take. Okay, here's our 2000 tick chart. We had during the overnight we had a real strong trend down. We had a break, 2 legs to a new low, and then it looked like we were going to reverse, and we started another leg down. So we'd look for a measured leg. We didn't quite get there. We came up a little short. Um, but you can see we really spent from 9 o'clock until close in this tight range, and I mean that's like a 14-point range, which is fairly tight, especially for lately. Um, so it got a little more difficult to trade that. But there's a few trades early on. So if you traded the morning, you probably had a better morning. There were a few trades here late morning, and there just wasn't much in the afternoon. But let's zoom on in here and work through these trades. And let me get this up because it's getting late. You can see we were working down in this khaki channel, and we had a little 2-legged correction right there. That was around 6:30. If you were here, by all means, take that second entry short right there. But notice we made a leg down, then we had a little 2-legged correction, and then we made a second leg down. Not quite a measured move there. And it looked like we were going to try to rally out of there. Of course, don't take anything during this news item here, and that might preclude you from taking this trade here. You can see we got a little jolt there at 7:30, and then suddenly made a lower high, and that's a second entry short. I like going short right there. There's plenty of room back to that support right there, and you can see we did bounce there. We went a little lower before we bounced, and maybe with that second entry long after a break and 2 legs down, maybe you take that long. It looks a little congested. There is some support there. We made a lower low, and we are below the EMA right there still. So I'm a little hesitant on that one, but if you recognize what's going on there, you might take that one. It's probably worth the risk. And it turns out to be a pretty good trade. You probably get a runner on that. Runs up, gets a break, makes a new high, and then it makes that little jog high that traps people going higher. Turns down. We're probably coming back at least to the EMA. And you can see we got 2 legs back. So that's a nice short there. And then we get another second entry long right off the EMA that makes a higher low. Again, we've already had a break and a new high, but there's nothing that says we can't make another leg up here. A lot of times you get 2 legs up, and with this being a higher low, you think, hey, maybe we'll get another leg up, which we do. It doesn't make a new high, but maybe you take that long because everything's on the right side of the EMA this time. You could almost argue for that to be blue, but I made it red because it's just a little bit, I mean, there's some resistance from left over from over here in the trend, so it's a little hard to know what we're doing here. But the odds are you'll probably at least get a scalp out of that back to test this high. And you can see we made a lower high. Didn't get a very good signal bar there, though. You make a lower high here, but there's not a lot of room there. Again, this is almost worth taking, but it's starting to look like a range now. Earlier I had this a little higher and I moved it lower. And you can see we're kind of bounced across there a couple of times. This doesn't quite get back down there though. So I'm just not real crazy about taking that short right there after bouncing that many times. Again, it is a lower high. You don't quite have this range. I mean, it looks like a midline there. I drew it by now. I think I originally had it a little higher here. Maybe draw it like that, and that doesn't give you much room. I ended up adjusting it later because we do get some more touches down here. But at that point, it looks like it's right across here, and you don't have much room there. So I'm not crazy about that one. Same thing here. At that point, this looks like it's below, and it looks like, and this may be correct here. This may be more correct because this fits as well. But I did drop it on down there. So you got to go long into this resistance there that was support. You do get two legs up, and now you get a triple test up here. I do like that one on the second entry because it is off the highs here. And so I like going short there. There's a lower high here, but we've moved a little too far, and you do get a little bit of a trap there when it turns down. If you took that on the engulfing bar, maybe, but there's just not much room to that low. And now you're way down here and you're going short at the low of the move. And I'm just never crazy about that. Even though you might get a measured move, I'm just not crazy about that move. There's just too much sideways action here. Nothing down here. We finally get a close outside new low, and then we're going higher. Nothing here on the way up. And then suddenly we make a lower high, and it confirms that trend line. I like going short there. And then this is a reversal. Notice there's a new swing high. It's higher than this last one. So first entry, second entry, and that's a trap. Again, I'm okay with taking this, but it was an engulfing bar, and you got to go low. You either go at the low of the move, or you take it on the engulfing bar, which you could. Again, it's close to being red, but I'm a little hesitant with it. It turns out to be a pretty decent trade. It's probably going to trap some people there on that second entry long when most people are looking to make a new high here. But you're way too far away from the EMA to be going long, and you don't want to go short there either till it comes back and almost test it again. There's another lower high here, but nothing you can take. And that was a really nice move down. Too bad it didn't break higher there before it turned down. It still would have been a little difficult to take that, but if you did, it would have been a nice move. But then you're just kind of bouncing along. There is a trend down here, and you get a break and a couple of legs to a new low, and then bounces again. I don't really like going long. You might take that. Generally, I'd wait on a higher low, and you don't really get one. Maybe you take that trade right there, but you're trying to pick bottoms, and you can get burned doing that. Then we're just kind of chopping along. I don't see anything except maybe a failed breakout, but it makes a new high here, and you do get a break of the trend line. It's just kind of one leg up, so I'm thinking maybe you wait on a lower high, and you don't really get it. But again, maybe you take that failed breakout. But notice here, you make a run up and you get a first entry, and then it turns higher again and turns back down, and you get a second entry right there. I don't think I would go short here, but maybe you go short when it goes past, and you do have just enough room to get out before those lows. I'm just a little hesitant to go short right there. So I know you definitely don't want to wait till this closes and go short. You might have taken it on the engulfing bar. There's a little breakout pullback short there, and you do test that a couple more times, but this looks a little congested. I'm more apt to buy this low here than to sell right in here, but I still think you need to get on the other side and test it, which you do here, and you get a nice bullish bar, and I like going long there because now you've had a break, two legs down, and now you're back inside this support with a nice bar. That's a pretty nice move. You got a little channel working up, you get a break, you get two legs down, and you get a second entry long here. It makes a higher low. Again, if you draw your little channel, you'll get your break and new low. And And you could also call that a little breakout, a failed breakout out of that congestion. So I like going long there. And that turns out to be a pretty good move. And then you're just stuck in here. I don't see anything I like there. Um, it's tempting to go short right there. And if you did, it works. Maybe you take that one. But if you don't take that one, by the time this third one sets up, you just can't go short across there. There's too much support. And then, of course, you get a first entry, second entry. So you get another high or low second entry right there that closes on the other side of that midline. If it breaks higher there, we're probably going to go run on up and test this high, or continue higher for that matter. And you do the close outside new high, and then you try to go higher once, twice. So you get a little triple test there. Nice bearish bar turning off that high. It's a little bit congested, so I made it green, but it's real close. You could argue for it to be red maybe. It's just a little congested, but if you see that resistance across there, you probably understand why you're struggling to go higher and you keep turning back down. It's good for a scalp, and then you get two more legs back up and it turns down again, but you don't get a chance to really enter it this time. And then another close. Notice you got a channel working down. You get a close outside, first entry, second entry. That's two legs back. I like going short there. Plenty of room back to the midline here. You even make a lower high here, but then you got to go short right in the midline. That gets a little dangerous. There's a failure here, but again, there's too much support across there, and you're not really looking for a failure in the middle of a range. Turns out to be a pretty good move, but notice it doesn't break lower till here, so the failure wouldn't have been till there, and that just looks too congested. And again, you're not really looking for a failure there. You could take one there, but it's not high probability. And you get a closeout. So there's actually another second entry here. It looks a little like this one. I didn't mark this one because it looks a little sideways, and we might have bounced early here. We're so close, but there's still reasons you might take that trade. I'll make it green. We've just already had two legs down. They're not quite measured. That puts your measured leg right down here at the lows. So that's the reason maybe you take that one, because we haven't touched the lows. We haven't met a measured move. Notice we come on down and meet it almost perfect before we try to go higher again. And then we bounce out of there. No reason to go long. Close outside, new high, and then we turn down. No setup there either. And then you bounce down here again right at these lows, and you got two legs. That's a second entry long, and you got pretty much two measured legs way away from the EMA. Maybe you take that one. I always think you need to wait on a higher low, which comes here, and then you don't have it doesn't break higher here, and then you got looks like congestion, and you're right below the EMA. Normally in a range you don't worry too much about the EMA, but when you're working sideways like that with not much room to here to this last high, you got to be concerned about it, especially when you get that two bar matching high on an inside bar. And you can see it doesn't really go anywhere. It's tempting to go short there, and then it doesn't break lower here. And then you can't get back through the midline of this, so I don't really like taking this setup. And you see how it bounces before it goes lower. And then finally it makes a higher low with no setup there, and you get two legs up. So that's a second entry short, and it is pretty much a triple test across there. The problem is it's right at that midline, so I didn't mark it again. I think you should wait on a lower high. You might take that just because it's clearly two legs up, so maybe you take that, but I think you wait on the lower high and you get that here, and there's just very low risk, 5 ticks. That's the one to take. Then you're just kind of chopping along before it kind of pushes lower. And I marked this last trade here. Notice how we couldn't get back up to the highs again. I mean, we made the highest high, then we make a lower high, another lower high, another lower high, and then we're making lower highs down through here, and you get this trap right here. Notice that's a second entry long right off those lows. It breaks higher and fails and turns down, It's a little risky, but I like going short right there. I mean, there's clues that we're going, this might break lower, and we know the measured legs down here. If you do get this trap here, you're going to at least get a scalp, and you can see it, just the bottom fell out. And that takes us into the close. So that's one you might take right there. Notice you got a new high, you try to go higher once, twice. So it's a failure. It's just a trap, really, is what it is. And if you recognize that, if you're more experienced, maybe you take that. If you're not real experienced at chart reading, you wouldn't want to take that trade because there's too many. Most breakouts are going to fail. But notice we traded down into this and we failed out the top first, and then went on. Generally, you're going to succeed on a breakout in the direction you traded into it. And we traded down into this channel, so there's a good chance we trade down out of the channel. Doesn't always work that way 100%, but that's generally what happens. And again, that last move takes us right into the 230, and we didn't do much after that. And you can see we're trying to come back up here after that close. But anyway, that's how I saw it today. Really, we were working on 2 legs down, and we just spent most of the day in this really, really tight. Like I said, what did we say it was? 14 point range. I believe that's what it was. So just not much happening there. So anyway, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Again, chart lesson may be a little late tomorrow. It's almost 9 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap it up and get this processed and uploaded. But hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.